Welcome back. This was the scene at the White House just moments ago as President Trump signed an executive order seeking to ban transgender women and girls from competing in women's sports. As you can see, he was surrounded by young athletes. Here's some of what he had to say.
Under the Trump administration, we will defend the proud tradition of female athletes, and we will not allow men to beat up, injure, and cheat our women and our girls. From now on, women's sports will be only for women.
We should note transgender athletes make up an exceedingly small portion of athletes in America. The NCAA president recently testified he was aware of less than 10 transgender college athletes out of more than 500,000 college athletes. Now, this executive order is the latest in a series of orders specifically aimed at transgender people and rolling back transgender rights. It comes as the president forges ahead with his agenda and cuts to the federal government at breakneck speed with considerable help from billionaire Elon Musk. NBC News senior White House correspondent Gabe Gutierrez joins me now. So, Gabe, give us some more details about this executive order and the reaction that you're seeing pouring in.
Hi there, Kristen. Well, you mentioned that the number of transgender individuals playing in college sports was exceedingly small, but during the Republican primary and during the Trump campaign, it was always one of the loudest applause lines whenever candidate Trump brought this up during a rally. So yes, as you mentioned, the president signing this executive order, one of a flurry of executive orders aimed at the trans community since he took office. Now, White House officials say that the purpose of this is to prevent men from playing in women's sports. And the White House says that even if an athlete has gender-affirming surgery, they must play based on their sex at birth. And the White House officials today brought up the idea of schools creating an open category for sports. Now, one of the questions here, Kristen, is who would enforce this? It's actually the Department of Education under Title IX. However, if the Department of Education goes away or is abolished, as is the Trump administration is considering, Press Secretary Karen Leavitt was asked about this, and it remains an open question. It would be enforced at the beginning by the Department of Education. If and when that department goes away, it still remains an open question which government agency this would fall under. But the White House sees this as a promise kept, something that he promised during the campaign, Kristen.
Well, I'm glad you point that out because, of course, as you say, the Trump administration is considering potentially getting rid of the Department of Education. We know that they are really trying to gut a number of government agencies. The Office of Personnel Management says more than 20,000 federal workers, in fact, have accepted that buyout offer from the Trump administration. Is that the range that the administration was looking for? Did they want more?
Oh, they wanted much more, but administration officials do say that they expect the number to go way up in the 24 hours or so right before the deadline, which, by the way, is tomorrow night. Right now, it's only about 1% of the federal workforce. Administration officials with DOJ had previously said that they wanted between 5 and 10% of the federal workforce to take this buyout. But I should point out, Kristen, the federal attrition rate for federal workers each year is about 6% anyway. So it's unclear how many people taking this buyout may have planned to leave the federal government anyway.
And we should note the CIA, other agencies going through a similar buyout process right now. Gabe Gutierrez, thank you so much. Really appreciate it.
Thanks for watching. Stay updated about breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or follow us on social media.